What's up, folks? We're going to take a look at NTRB. Currently up over 160%. I think it was up over 200% at one point today. This, in my mind, is a picture-perfect low float gapper. So in this video, I want to take a look at just the chart, the daily levels, the breakouts, and I want to take a look at Bookmap as well and show you some great spots that we could have used Bookmap to take a trade with very high risk to reward. So without further ado, let's get into it. So as with any low float gapper, the first thing I'm going to do is take a look at the daily chart, which is this top left chart. And I'm just going to draw out some pivot levels. So the first one was right around $7. These are just places where we have wick highs on the daily. And then we have an extreme move away from those levels. Those are called pivots. So we have one at $7. We've got one right around $12. We have a wick high again around 11. So, this is the pre-market chart. This is only up until 9:30. Pre-market topped out right around $7, so right around that pivot. A strong break through $7 would likely mean we're headed towards 11 or maybe 12. Now this chart on the right here is a 1-minute chart looking at only the pre-market action. And the first thing that I'm noticing about the pre-market chart is the fact that we're putting in higher lows all the way up into the open. This is a really bullish pre-market chart. The fact that all the breakouts held really nicely, lots of continuation on the breakouts, and we're basically coming into the open right near the high of day. So coming into the open, what I'm looking for is some kind of bullish setup. But before I just buy the open blindly, I want to look for sellers to fail. So where would sellers fail to take this lower? Well, I think the first pivot is 675. Another area, another spot is going to be 650. And then lastly, 625. So these are kind of just like milestones. And I'd say below 625, this is below VWAP. This is like you just got to cut it at this point. This is probably just going to fall off and die. But 675, 650, I think these are buy zones. And your risk is obviously against 625, and your reward is above $7. So let's take a look at what happens as we come into the open. So a bunch of wicks got put in below 675, but no real continuation below 675. And then as we cracked $7, this just absolutely ripped. So let's come over to Bookmap and just take a look at what the open looked like in Bookmap. All right, so here's the open in Bookmap. Over here is 9:30. And then to the right here is 9:32. So we're actually only looking at 2 minutes worth of time. And remember, at the open, things are really volatile. Things happen very quickly. So that's why we're analyzing it on such a small time frame here. But right now, the first thing that I'm noticing is buyers and sellers are pretty evenly matched. We've got about the same number of sellers as we do buyers. Again, same number of buyers and sellers. There's nothing really to see here. Okay, now what's interesting is another buyer steps up. Another seller steps up. So again, we're pretty evenly matched. Still pretty evenly matched. Okay, so we broke that $7 level. We held above that $7 level pretty well. And then we have another buyer coming in here. Another 2 buyers coming in here. And then as we break that 730 liquidity, it's off to the races, and we ended up halting up. This, coming back to the chart, this 1-minute candle was where the stock halted. And then we got really nice continuation out of the halt. Put in a high at $9. And one thing I want you to notice as we come in at $9, look at this pullback relative to the move up. Look how slow this pullback is. So that is a great sign that we are going to have some kind of continuation of the upside once this turns around. And then this is another great sign as we come up to $9. We fail again, but we're not putting in a lower low, which means as we come up to 890 again, this is a picture perfect, in my eyes, cup and handle pattern. We've got a great ignition bar, a very mild pullback. You know, if you look at, if you were to apply Fibonacci retracements to this, this probably didn't even pull back 33%. So that's a really strong compared to the move up. We have a test of close to the highs, a slight pullback, and then blast through. And you can see the move that ensued. We got to $11, which was that first daily resistance, and then $12 is where we capped out. So let's hop over to Bookmap. Now, looking at Bookmap right after the halt, I want to analyze this breakout, this cup and handle breakout that I just talked about. And the one thing I want you to notice is, as we have this cup and handle pattern, at the end of the cup and handle before the breakout, notice the buying liquidity that comes up and steps up price. So this is where you can start to assume that we're not going to break below these liquidity levels. You can see that there was a buyer down here, and then eventually that buyer pulled his order and moved it up here. So now we're looking for 840 to hold. Basically, price shouldn't go below 840. And we can have a pretty tight stop in this case. We could buy anywhere around 860, have a stop against 840, and we're looking for a move at least back up to the high a day of $9. And this is actually where I sold my shares, just because there was a lot of liquidity that we needed to eat through to get up. So it's natural to expect a pullback at this point, just because of how much buying had to happen. But it's important to note that we don't sell off that hard. That means a lot of these buyers that bought were looking for a larger break. And if we had sold off a little bit harder, those buyers probably would have had to liquidate their shares, and we probably would have gotten a fake breakout, but we held. So this is a decent spot to buy as well, back through 905, as we can continue for that larger breakout. The next thing I want to call out is this flush that happened right here. And I called this one out in the Discord, which I will show you. I said at 10:42 that this is a very bearish pattern on NTRB, with lots of sellers stepping down their orders, which you can see from the Bookmap here. So just going back to the chart, the reason that's a very bearish pattern is, one, we've had a huge move so far up to a daily level in that $12 that we identified. We had a flush from $12. We had a consolidation, but remember what I said earlier about consolidations that happen after a large move. Look how quickly we had this move, and then look at the pullback. We took so long to climb barely 50%, maybe 50%. And then if we look at the Bookmap, which I posted in the Discord, look at all the selling liquidity. Look at how heavy that is. Look at them stepping down price, and then look at the buyers. There's really nothing below us. So in this case, I expected it to tank, and then this was the resulting pattern. It did sell off pretty good. So as I wrap up the video, I just want to mention that these concepts likely only apply to low float momentum stocks. And I haven't seen the same thing happen in the large cap space. And my theory is that you have longer term investors in the large cap space. And so when you see a big ask enter the market like this, if there's a buyer who's interested and they say, okay, well, there's this huge seller at $9, and I want to buy this stock, and I can buy this many shares at $9. So what will happen is you'll see these large orders come in, and then you'll see price just turn around on a dime and start heading towards that large seller. And my theory behind this is, there's a buyer and they want to buy, and they think that $9 is a fair price. So they're just going to eat through everything to get to that buyer. And what will happen is you'll see that buyer or that seller get eaten up, and then the price will turn around again, or it'll just do something else until it finds a direction that it wants to go, or another big seller enters the market, or another big buyer enters the market on the bid or the ask, giving the stock some kind of direction. As always, if you made it this far, thanks for watching. If you like these Bookmap tutorials, leave a comment below and like the video. And if you want to get Bookmap for yourself, I have a Bookmap referral link that'll give you 30% off your first month in the description below. And with that, folks, have a great New Year's, and we'll see you in the new year.